You are listening to your new Puppies podcast, starting you and your dog off on the right paw. Here's your host, Debbie Salento.
Hello and welcome to episode 61 of Your New Puppies podcast. I'm Debbie, and today we're going to talk about a typical puppy schedule. So this is something I get asked mostly by brand new puppy owners or even those preparing for your puppy. And on the surface, I can't really answer that because it depends on so many factors. It depends on your puppy's age, where you are with potty training, what their energy and exercise needs are, what your family schedule is, what your family looks like, what your family's resources are. But when I take a step back, what I'm really being asked are things like, how often do I have to take my puppy out? How much exercise do they need during the day? How much crate time is too much crate time? Or maybe you just want an idea of what your new life is going to look like, especially if you've never had a puppy before. So I am going to specifically talk about younger puppies, mainly because once your dog is older, like 6 months plus, you kind of got it figured out. Maybe you just want to make sure that you're doing it right at that point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on a typical daytime schedule for younger puppies, so between 2 and 5 months old, and then how that schedule might change or look like once your puppy gets older, 5 months plus. I'm also not going to take into consideration if you have a working household. So in other words, everybody's out of the house during the day, because I do have an episode 56, where I address this. For purposes of this episode, I'm going to talk about a typical day, assuming that you're home with your puppy. I also want to point out that this is a typical day. This is an example. So my goal here is for you to take what we talk about here and then be able to kind of like adjust it and mold it to what you need and what your schedule is and to you and your puppy's needs. So your dog's schedule is going to consist of 3 main components, and that's going to be potty breaks, exercise and enrichment, and I'll talk about what I mean by that in a second, and rest time, essentially their naps. Now, the younger your puppy is, the more their schedule is going to revolve around potty breaks. As they get older, their schedule is going to revolve around the exercise and enrichment. Now, no matter what age your dog is, exercise and enrichment is important, but depending on their age is what their needs are. So younger puppies get tired out really easily, and they shouldn't be getting a lot of physical exercise. And as your puppy gets older and they get more physically able, then the physical exercise also becomes a key, but we still do a lot of mental exercise. But the level of it, we might want to increase to burn that extra energy that they now have because they are older. So I don't want to go into a whole lot of detail here because I have a bunch of episodes that I talk about mental exercise, physical exercise, give you examples and ideas, and I'm going to link to all of them in the show notes for this episode. So if you want to go and get more information there, you're welcome to. Okay, so first let's talk about that younger puppy where our day is revolving around their potty breaks. So let's remember the rule of thumb is your dog can hold it 1 hour for every month they are old. If you have a medium to large breed, you could probably push that an hour. Now, overnight, they can definitely hold it longer. You could push it another 1 to 2 hours, but I'm only going to really focus on during the day now. But I always like to point out, just because they can hold it longer overnight, that doesn't necessarily translate to how long they can hold it during the day. So a 10-week-old puppy can hold it anywhere from 2 to 3 hours during the day. Again, that's just a starting point, but that is their physical ability. Now, you're probably going to be getting your dog out a lot more than that. Because remember, when in doubt, take your puppy out. but they should never be in their crate longer than that. This is also where they're going to be sleeping a lot and they're going to get tired out very easily. So yes, they still need that exercise and enrichment, but they're not going to need a lot of it to get them to take a nap. So this is what a typical day might look like. You take your puppy out for a potty break, and then they get anywhere from maybe 15 to 45 minutes of that play and enrichment. And we're going to let them kind of rule that. If you're doing something that's a high level enrichment, maybe, you're playing a game of fetch or tug of war, bringing them somewhere new to explore, bringing them to a friend's house or bringing them to their puppy buddy's house. Like those are high level enrichments. These are going to get tired out a whole lot more and a lot faster than, just kind of chilling inside, maybe, just chilling with you on the couch and playing a little bit. All of those things are important, but depending on what you're doing is how long it's going to last and how tired out. Easily they're going to get tired out. So anywhere between 15 and 45 minutes. After that playtime, we're going to take them out again and hopefully empty them out. And then they get to go in their crate and they take a nap. Anywhere from 45 minutes to even 3 hours. Again, depending on how tired out they are. And then you repeat. They wake up from their nap, you take them out, they get enrichment and playtime, they go back in their crate for their nap. And that's pretty much how it goes. Now, a lot of times it's like, well, how much is too much in the crate? And it goes back to, of course, we're paying attention to that rule of thumb. They're never in there longer than that. And then what it comes down to is not the amount of time they're spending in their crate. It's that enrichment and activity and bonding that they're getting outside of their crate. Now, how this is going to differ once your puppy gets older is hopefully you have more of a handle on their potty training. They can hold it longer. So once they're 5 months, they're holding it. They can hold it for 5-6 hours during the day. That doesn't mean you have to make them hold it for 5 to 6 hours during the day. It just means that hopefully they're giving you signals by now, and you're not as worried about those accidents. Accidents can still happen. I don't consider a dog fully potty trained until they're close to a year because random accidents can still happen. But it's not your main focus anymore. Maybe you're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. But what is happening is that their energy levels are increasing. They need either more activity and enrichment or just higher levels of activity and enrichment to get those same naps or even to get them to sleep through the night. Sometimes around this age, they'll all of a sudden start waking up in the middle of the night. And that just might mean they need more exercise and enrichment during the day to be able to sleep through the night. As soon as you think you've got it covered, you're like, I know how to exercise my puppy and they sleep through the night and they take their naps. They come back and say, nope, nope, I'm growing up and my physical needs are changing. That's why there's a shift in your focus to their exercise and enrichment needs. So now it's, you take them out for a potty break, and now they need 30 minutes to an hour, maybe even longer than that, of play, exercise, enrichment, training to get a 1 to 2 hour nap in their crate. Okay? Now, as I explained in the beginning, this isn't written in stone. I have a client who, of course, her puppy's older, but as her puppy was growing, they built her up to spending 2 4-hour chunks in her crate. They work from home and that's their work schedule and that's what they needed. So they give her an hour and a half of enrichment and exercise in the morning. And then they ask her to stay in her crate for 4 hours on her own. And then they have another 90 minutes that they dedicate to her for lunch. And then she's asked to spend another 4 hours in her crate. And then the evening is open. And that works for them and that works for their dog. They actually have a very high energy dog, but they've figured it out. I have another client who will also works from home, but will work for 50 minutes and then play with their dog for 10 minutes. And then works for 50 minutes and plays with their dog for 10 minutes. And that works for her and her dog. So the last thing I want to mention is about bedtime and wake up time. I know I said I really wouldn't talk about it, but I know a lot of you were thinking about it. So a young puppy will probably crash out early, like maybe around like 8 p.m. or so. I mean, again, it totally depends on what your day looks like, but a typical day, that might be when they kind of crash out and then they're done for the night. I mean, obviously with potty breaks in between, and they might sleep until anywhere from 6 to 8 the next morning. But as they get older, that will change. But the good news is as they get older, you can try to start to slowly morph them into the schedule that you want. Like maybe you're a night owl and you want them to stay up a little later so they sleep later. Or maybe you're like me and you go to bed super early because you're usually up before the sun. You can slowly morph your dog into those schedules. Now, that being said, some dogs are just like us. Some dogs are morning dogs, some dogs are night dogs. So if you're trying to change that, it might be more of a struggle, but you can over time. When they're younger, the younger they are, it's going to be like an 80-20 split, their needs and your needs. And then as they get older, that can shift. This is a lot of work, and it might not be what you imagined when you thought about getting a dog, but remember, you don't have a dog yet. You have a puppy. And our jobs now is to teach, train, fulfill their needs so they become the dogs that we always imagined. Okay, so I hope this was helpful because, again, I can't give you a definite answer about what your day should look like with your puppy, but this is a place to start. So as promised, I'm going to link to any prior episodes that I talked about, including if you have a working household, and I have a few that talk about different exercise and enrichment ideas to get you going with that as well. So I'll put all of those links in the show notes of this episode, which you'll find at playtimepause.com/episode 61. So that's playtimepause.com/episode 61. And that is all I have for you today. If you are enjoying this podcast, you can rate and review it wherever you listen to podcasts. If you want to continue training with me, I have both in-person and online training services, including my 4-week online new puppy course called Your Perfect Puppy, where you get 4 weeks of lessons, but then at least 12 months access to me to help you through all of your training questions, including things as simple as, this is the schedule that we have for our puppy. Is this right? Am I doing this right? I have been asked that many times. Thank you so much for listening. I'll be speaking with you soon. Bye for now.